It was the secrets of heaven and earth that I desired to learn, and whether it was the outward substance of things or the inner spirit of nature and the mysterious soul of man that occupied me, still my inquiries were directed to the metaphysical, or in its highest sense, the physical secrets of the world. Welcome, curious minds, to Artificially Literate. This is the place where books, films, compelling ideas, they all meet deep thought and, well, boundless curiosity.
Yeah, that's right. Every time we get together, we try to explore a piece of literature, maybe a fascinating video, or sometimes a significant cultural moment.
And we really try to break down its philosophical and, literal meanings. We're always seeking out those aha moments, the ones that make you, our listener, look at the world just a little differently.
So whether you're a lover of stories, someone searching for profound meaning, or maybe just someone who enjoys a thoughtful takeaway, this is definitely your space to reflect, learn, and maybe grow a bit.
Today, we're embarking on a, pretty ambitious journey. We're diving into one of literature's most iconic and enduring narratives, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus.
And it's so much more than just a tale of scientific creation gone wrong, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's really a foundational text. It continues to challenge our understanding of what it means to be human, the ethical boundaries of innovation, and the immense, sometimes terrifying responsibilities we bear for what we bring into existence.
What's truly captivating about Frankenstein, nearly 200 years after its first publication, is its uncanny ability to remain so acutely relevant.
Right.
It dives far deeper than just a horror story. It probes the very essence of personhood, the moral imperative that should accompany scientific progress, and, the profound duties we have to our creations, often neglected duties. It really lays bare the anxieties and debates that continue to shape our world today. Things like artificial intelligence, genetic engineering. Shelley was grappling with questions that still echo in our most advanced labs and philosophical discussions.
Exactly. And to navigate this intricate narrative, we've meticulously explored the text itself, trying to extract its most potent insights.
So we'll be tracing the intertwined journeys of Victor Frankenstein and the being he so infamously brings into the world.
Yeah, delving into the philosophical underpinnings that shape this groundbreaking work and hopefully uncovering its urgent real-life implications for our contemporary age.
We'll try to dissect the character's complex motivations, look at societal reactions to the unknown, the other, and confront the devastating consequences that arise from, unchecked ambition.
And maybe even more so from profound abandonment. Okay, let's truly unpack this extraordinary story.
The spark of ambition and the birth of a nightmare.
So our deep dive begins, maybe surprisingly, not with Victor Frankenstein himself, but with a character who, in many ways, mirrors Victor's grand ambition and also his poignant isolation, Robert Walton.
Right, the Arctic explorer.
Exactly. He's driven by this almost mystical desire to discover a country of eternal light near the North Pole. He pictures it in his letters not as desolate ice, but as this realm of unparalleled beauty and delight, almost utopian.
His vision isn't just about planting a flag. It's steeped in a kind of scientific heroism, a desire to confer inestimable benefit on mankind.
He dreams big, unlocking the secret of the magnet, finding a new passage.
Believing these breakthroughs will revolutionize human understanding. And this wasn't just a whim. His preparation was incredibly rigorous, almost ascetic.
He really pushed himself.
Oh, yeah. Inuring his body to hardship, going with whale fishers, enduring cold, famine, thirst, lack of sleep, and crucially studying mathematics and physical science at night. It shows this comprehensive, almost obsessive commitment.
He embodies that Enlightenment ideal knowledge for progress, but also maybe the Romantic era's boundless, sometimes dangerous pursuit of the sublime.
And there's that line you mentioned earlier, that paradoxical feeling of joy a child feels when he embarks in a little boat.
Yeah, it's so evocative.
It captures that innocent, almost naive side of his huge ambition. There's a vulnerability there, alongside the formidable drive.
But this enthusiasm, this almost childlike excitement, it gets tempered pretty quickly by a profound sense of isolation, doesn't it?
It really does. That's where his letters to his sister, Margaret, become so poignant. He confesses this deep personal void. I have one want which I have never yet been able to satisfy. I have no friend.
It's heartbreaking.
And it's not just casual loneliness. He craves an intellectual and emotional confidant, someone cultivated as well as of a capacious mind, whose tastes are like my own, to approve or amend my plans.
Someone to share the journey with intellectually, too.
Exactly. He knows writing it down is a poor medium for the communication of feeling. this yearning for a kindred spirit. It just perfectly sets the stage for his encounter with Victor Frankenstein.
Who, ironically, desperately needs exactly that kind of sympathetic ear.
Precisely. And what an encounter against this stark, desolate Arctic backdrop.
First, they see this impossibly large figure, right, of gigantic stature, moving north at incredible speed on a sledge.
An almost supernatural sight in that surreal environment.
And then, later, they find Victor, emaciated, near death, also on a sledge, pursuing this demon, as he calls him.
Walton's immediate compassion is interesting. He sees Victor as a noble creature despite his wrecked state.
Yeah, that immediate connection is crucial. It ties directly into that broader theme running through the whole novel, the human need for connection versus the dangerous pursuit of solitary ambition.
Both men are driven by these grand, isolating visions, and both ultimately are consumed by them.
Okay, so shifting from Walton to Victor Frankenstein himself, we start to see very different origins shaping his path.
Right, Victor comes from this distinguished Genovese family. His father has integrity, his parents share this deep affection, which extends to him.
There's that story about his mother, Caroline Beaufort, being rescued from poverty by his father. It introduces themes of charity, compassion, responsibility right from the start.
A sense of privilege, yes, but also, supposedly, a moral framework.
And then there's the adoption of Elizabeth Lavenza. He calls her my more than sister, a heaven-sent creature.
And interprets her as mine to protect, love, and cherish. That's quite possessive, even early on.
It is. That idea of receiving a gift and immediately taking on this protective, almost ownership role. It seems embedded in him.
Shelley really emphasizes his happier childhood, the parents' spirit of kindness and indulgence. It's such a stark contrast to how his own creation will be treated.
Absolutely. He starts life surrounded by love, care, stimulation, makes his later actions even more baffling.
But even in that idyllic setting, you see the seeds of obsession taking root. His early temperament showed ardor, a thirst for knowledge.
That desire to learn the secrets of heaven and earth.
Yeah, it wasn't just academic curiosity. It was this profound, almost metaphysical quest. He gets fascinated by the ancient alchemists, Agrippa, Paracelsus, Albertus Magnus.
Figures blending philosophy, magic, science.
Exactly. And his father dismissing them as sad trash.
Might have actually pushed him deeper into it, like a little act of rebellion.
Quite possibly. It suggests an independent, maybe even stubborn intellectual streak. He wasn't easily swayed from his interests.
And then comes that pivotal moment, the lightning strike.
Ah, yes. The oak tree utterly destroyed near his home. For Victor, it wasn't just a storm. It was a revelation.
A demonstration of raw, uncontrollable power.
Power that utterly destroyed, but also somehow revealed a new and astonishing theory of electricity and galvanism. Life, death, destruction, potential. All from this invisible force.
He initially turned away from natural history after that, didn't he? Towards mathematics.
Yes, seeking something built upon secure foundations, maybe seeking control, predictability, after witnessing such chaotic power.
But it was temporary. That fatal impulse drew him back.
Propelling him towards his ultimate devastating discovery. It feels almost like destiny pulling him.
This whole sequence, from his early curiosity to that lightning strike, it really makes you wonder.
Was his path inevitable? Predetermined by some flaw? Or was it a series of choices, influences, turning points?
It's a classic nature versus nurture question applied to scientific ambition.
I think Shelley suggests that curiosity, if it isn't guided properly, if it lacks ethical grounding and good mentorship, can become destructive.
Like his father's dismissal of Agrippa. Maybe if he'd engaged with Victor's interests differently.
Exactly. Instead of just calling it trash, maybe guide him, instill some caution, broaden his perspective. It highlights how crucial thoughtful guidance is for a young, ambitious mind.
That's a really strong point, and his journey definitely accelerates when he gets to Ingolstadt University. He's 17.
Right. He initially dislikes M. Kremp's teaching style, calls him uncouth.
But eventually respects his sound sense, shows some discernment, I guess.
But it's M. Waldman who really sets him on the path. Waldman is described as mild, attractive.
And he skillfully connects Victor's interest in those ancient philosophers with modern chemistry.
He validates Victor's early interests, but channels them into something more sophisticated, and ultimately, in Victor's hands, much more dangerous.
Under Waldman, his progress is rapid, fueled by this supernatural enthusiasm.
Studying the structure of the human frame, and crucially, immersing himself in the principle of life, This is where the obsession really takes hold.
And it gets dark. His focus turns to natural decay and corruption.
Spending days and nights in vaults and charnel houses, graveyards, morgues.
He's not just studying life, he's immersing himself in death and decomposition, observing how the fine form of man was degraded and wasted.
This macabre fascination becomes part of his scientific quest, and it leads him to that sudden light of discovery, how to infuse a spark of being into the lifeless thing.
And then, the creation itself. A dreary night of November. Shelley sets the mood perfectly. Dread, exhaustion after nearly 2 years of work.
The rain, the candle flickering out.
And then in that dim light, he sees it. The dull yellow eye of the creature open. It breathed hard, and a convulsive motion agitated its limbs.
And this is the critical moment, isn't it? The instant reaction.
Yes. Here's where it gets truly unsettling you. Victor doesn't feel triumph. He immediately recoils. The beauty of the dream vanished, replaced by breathless horror and disgust.
Instantly. The shift is absolute.
What does this tell us about that line between ambition and responsibility? Or maybe the chasm between an abstract idea, the glory of creation, and its horrifying reality?
He doesn't just recoil, he flees, abandons it. Physically, morally. He's tormented by nightmares, haunted by the creature's silent presence.
That burning ardor that far exceeded moderation is just gone.
Extinguished the moment his vision became real.
This immediate, visceral rejection, it feels like the original sin of the novel, the act that unleashes all the tragedy to come.
Consequences, humanity, and the monster's education.
And that rejection has devastating consequences, not just for the abandoned creature, but for Victor himself. It leads directly to his severe mental and physical collapse.
He's frantic, running through the streets, terrified. And then his friend, Henry Clerval, arrives unexpectedly from Geneva. Clerval brings this sense of calm and serene joy, memories of home, a connection to the world Victor left behind.
But Victor's state is shocking. That wild laughter bordering on hysteria, then collapsing into a nervous fever that lasts for months.
It shows the profound psychological trauma. The creation, yes, but maybe even more, the horror of his own abandonment of it.
And Clerval becomes the devoted nurse, selfless, patient.
And crucially, he hides the true extent of Victor's illness from the family back home, sparing them that grief.
This whole period marks a huge shift in Victor, too. He develops this violent aversion to natural philosophy.
Sees his chemical instruments, the tools of his ambition, as tools of slow and cruel death, a complete reversal from his earlier passion.
It's trauma, regret, maybe denial of responsibility all wrapped up together.
But the horror doesn't stop there, tragically. The narrative shifts, the dread builds as Victor heads back to Geneva.
The journey itself feels ominous. And then he arrives, only to recognize the monster, his creation, at the site where his little brother William was murdered.
The realization is instant and crushing. He was a murderer.
A pivotal moment. He knows the truth, but he stays silent.
Paralyzed. He fears being dismissed as insane if he tells his unbelievable story. And he rationalizes that chasing the creature would be useless anyway.
But that silence, that fear-driven silence, leads directly to one of the most heart-wrenching parts of the book. The unjust accusation of Justine Moritz.
The beloved family servant. Innocent.
Elizabeth's letter, initially comforting, turns into this desperate plea. You see her simple and powerful appeal at the trial, her absolute belief in Justine's innocence.
It highlights the goodness in the family and Justine's own character. But it's not enough.
She's condemned by a system that just can't comprehend the real monstrous truth.
And if you think about it, connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The legal system's failure here is stark. Circumstantial evidence, public prejudice.
Yeah.
They condemn an innocent person.
It shows how easily fear and judgment can overshadow truth, especially when something inexplicable happens.
Justine's forced confession, hoping for a heavenly reunion with William, her resignation. It's incredibly painful to read. She accepts death with this quiet dignity.
And Victor's guilt is just immense, crushing. He knows he's the true murderer, in effect, but he's trapped by his secret.
Justine's death on the scaffold. Another innocent victim of Victor's unhallowed arts. The tragedy just deepens.
So what does this mean for us, you? How often do we see blame misplaced? Or an easy answer chosen over a difficult truth, especially when something horrifying occurs? It makes you question our own systems, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Meanwhile, as Victor spirals, the creature itself is having this lonely, profound, often brutal awakening.
Starts as a poor, helpless, miserable wretch, confused sensations, no understanding.
Just instinct, fear, cold, hunger, thirst, the basics of discomfort.
But his self-education, totally independent of Victor, is remarkable.
He slowly learns to distinguish senses, perceive objects, understand his environment through pure observation. Learns about fire warmth, yes, but also pain.
Watches the natural world day and night, piecing together reality.
And his first interactions with humans. Devastating. Immediate terror and violence. The shepherds shrieking, the villagers throwing stones.
That instant rejection, purely based on appearance, sets the tone for his entire existence. It shapes everything.
It's truly heartbreaking. But then he finds this temporary refuge and, more importantly, this window into humanity, the de Lacy family.
Takes shelter in that hovel next to their cottage, an asylum from the snow and rain, but also from the barbarity of man.
And from there he watches them, the blind father, de Lacy, Agatha, Felix. He sees their gentle manners, their love and respect for each other, how they cope with poverty.
He becomes this silent observer, deeply involved emotionally.
Yes. What's fascinating is his capacity for empathy. Despite his isolation and form, he feels depressed when they're sad, sympathizing in their joys.
He even does secret acts of kindness for them, clearing snow, bringing wood.
Astonished when they talk about a good spirit, wonderful. He doesn't get the words, but senses the positive intent. He's this blank slate, learning morality and emotion not from his creator, but by watching this loving family.
It really poses that question. Is humanity about appearance or about the capacity for connection and empathy? He's showing that capacity despite everything.
And this observation fuels his most ardent desire to learn their language, the godlike science of sound.
He painstakingly acquires words. Fire, milk, bread, wood. Then their names.
Learns to read and write by watching Felix teach Safie. This silent intellectual birth opens up this wide field for wonder and delight.
It expands his consciousness dramatically.
And the impact of literature on him is just profound. He devours these books. Volney's Ruins of Empires teaches him history, society, governments, religions, the complexities and hypocrisies.
Plutarch's Lives gives him ideals, virtue, heroism.
Goethe's Sorrows of Werther that teaches him about despondency and gloom, individual emotion, despair.
Through these books, his self-awareness grows. He realizes, I found myself similar, yet at the same time strangely unlike the humans he reads about.
The agony hits when he sees his reflection in the pool, confronts his image as hideously deformed and loathsome, leads to bitterest sensations of despondence and mortification.
The more he learns, the more he understands his isolation and starts asking those huge questions. Who was I? What was I? Whence did I come? What was my destination?
Think about that, you. He learned language, history, philosophy, human emotion before truly interacting with humans. It's a testament to literature's power.
But also such a cruel irony. The knowledge highlights his difference, deepens his despair. It doesn't bring him closer. It isolates him further.
It's incredibly tragic.
Remember, you can find Artificially Literate on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to follow us so you don't miss our future deep dives.
I was benevolent and good. Misery made me a fiend. Make me happy, and I shall again be virtuous.
The unraveling and the philosophical legacy.
That quote from The Creature. It's such a crucial turning point, isn't it? It leads us right into the crushing weight of that final rejection and his turn to vengeance.
Absolutely. His most heartbreaking attempt at connection is with the blind de Lacy. He plans it so carefully, hoping his voice alone, without the horror of his appearance, could win him over.
And it almost works. De Lacy responds with compassion initially, believes in his good dispositions, offers solace.
But then the others return. Felix, Safie, Agatha. The creature cries out, "Who can describe their horror and consternation on beholding me?"
Agatha faints. Safie flees.
And Felix, in this primal fear and fury, attacks him violently, beats him with a stick.
And the tragic thing is the monster restrains himself. He has this supernatural force, could easily destroy Felix, but he doesn't. His heart sank within me as with bitter sickness.
That lingering benevolence is still there, even then. But this final, universal rejection from the family he admired, it's the breaking point.
In despair and rage, he burns the cottage, destroys the paradise that was his school, his sanctuary.
And that act marks his definitive turn. He's driven now solely by hatred for Victor, his creator. He heads to Geneva,
where he encounters William, Victor's little brother.
And initially, maybe he intends something else. To corrupt the child, perhaps? But William cries out, "Monster! Ugly wretch! My papa is M. Frankenstein."
That name seals William's fate.
"Frankenstein! You belong then to my enemy. You shall be my first victim." He kills the boy.
This is the descent, The point of no return. He feels exultation and hellish triumph.
Declares, I too can create desolation. My enemy is not invulnerable. It's a declaration of war.
And then that calculated framing of Justine, planting the locket. It shows his acquired cunning, his depravity.
It really forces that question. Did his goodness turn to evil only because of rejection? Or was the capacity always there, just twisted by circumstance and abandonment? Shelley leaves it disturbingly ambiguous.
Then the confrontation in the Alps.
Yeah.
The monster makes his case.
A chillingly reasoned argument. I am malicious because I am miserable. Am I not shunned and hated by all mankind? If I cannot inspire love, I will cause fear.
His plea is for a female companion. Someone like him.
He promises if Victor complies, they'll disappear forever, live harmlessly in the wilds.
And Victor is torn. Abhorrence versus this dawning sense of duty as a creator. But ultimately, he prioritizes his duties towards the beings of my own species.
A tragically flawed calculation, perhaps?
He eventually agrees, travels to Britain, to a remote Scottish island to start work on the second creature.
But the process disgusts him. He calls it a filthy process. He's tormented by fears, creating a race of devils, unleashing more misery.
And in a moment of irreversible decision, he destroys the half-finished female creature.
A broken promise, the ultimate betrayal of the creature's last hope.
The monster witnesses it and delivers that infamous threat, I will be with you on your wedding night.
And he follows through with calculated cruelty. The murder of Henry Clerval, Victor's best friend, strangled, the black mark of fingers on his neck.
Then Victor's arrest for Clerval's murder. His ravings confessing everything, but dismissed as madness, trapped in his silent anguish.
And the final blows. Elizabeth's murder on their wedding night, and Victor's father dying of grief upon hearing the news. The complete annihilation of Victor's world.
This horrific cascade, all stemming from that one act of creation and abandonment, it leads us to the final desperate chase.
Victor, consumed by grief and vengeance, pursues the monster across Europe into the Arctic.
Driven by this oath to destroy his creation.
And the monster fuels it, taunting him. Prepare, your toils only begin. Your sufferings will satisfy my everlasting hatred. It highlights that cycle of revenge.
Each consumed by hatred for the other, a feedback loop of pain. It mirrors Walton's journey, but with its desperate, destructive purpose.
They're linked, both on this solitary path to a tragic end.
Until Victor, near death, is found by Walton's ship. His final words try to justify refusing the companion, prioritizing his own species.
And he begs Walton to finish the job, destroy the monster.
But then the monster appears at Victor's deathbed, just as Walton might turn back. It's the most profound moment, maybe.
Incredibly powerful. His final exchange. He expresses this deep remorse, this anguish over his own actions. He suffered not the 10,000th portion of the anguish that was mine.
Explains his heart was made for love, but was wrenched by misery to vice and hatred.
Says evil became his good because of rejection. The fallen angel becomes a malignant devil, but emphasizes his total isolation. Even that enemy of God and man had friends. I am alone.
That forces us to confront it. Is he inherently evil? Or a product of cruelty and abandonment? Shelley leaves us grappling with it.
Real easy answers.
With Victor dead, the monster declares his own end is near. He'll go to the remotest ice to die, his catalog of sins complete.
Ending his tortured existence.
This whole narrative, it really forces us to look inward. Are we too quick to judge by appearance? Do we take responsibility for the consequences of our actions, especially our innovations?
And what do we owe those we bring into existence, literally or figuratively? The creature's final words just echo that dilemma.
No guilt, no mischief, no malignity, no misery can be found comparable to mine. But it is even so. The fallen angel becomes a malignant devil, yet even that enemy of God and man had friends and associates in his desolation. I am alone.
Wow.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. What an incredible unsettling journey into human ambition, scientific ethics, and the tragedy of abandonment and prejudice.
It's truly a timeless narrative. It really makes you reflect on the philosophical and, frankly, the real-life implications of creation and what our responsibilities are, not just to technology, but to every being we encounter.
Especially those we might push aside.
Exactly. The creature's yearning for connection and the violent consequences of its rejection, it still resonates so powerfully.
Absolutely. Victor's story, the creature's story. It connects so strongly with our debates today about AI, genetic engineering, even how we treat societal outcasts.
It urges us to think about the ethical frameworks before we unleash new powers, and how we treat those perceived as different.
So here's a provocative thought to leave you with you. How much of our own monsters, whether they're technological, social, personal, are we truly responsible for creating? And how much is shaped by the world's reaction, by the prejudices and fears they face?
A heavy question to ponder.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive on Artificially Literate. We sincerely hope this exploration has given you plenty to think about, maybe discuss.
Please remember to check out our other deep dives, too.
Yeah, follow us for more compelling topics, and stay tuned for the next book we'll be dissecting. Until then, remember the timeless wisdom.
Reading a book every day keeps stupidity away.